the one, the only, Ben
Morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube. Ideally speaking, as we continue with this book, The 10 Really Dumb Mistakes That Very Smart Couples Make, we're doing the second half of chapter 10, which is primarily deals with physical intimacy, physical touch and intimacy as means of either bettering your marriage or repairing your marriage if it's not doing well. And he starts off with 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. When you teach a chassan and kala about Hilchos Nida and tell them it's going to be 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off, sometimes you get a look. What? 1 minute, we're so incredibly close, and the next time we can't even touch. Why should the Torah want us to be apart? It's not until you're married for a while that you understand the beauty and wisdom of the system. Our Creator, who understands our nature, gave us powerful force and put it within a precise cycle. The act of intimacy needs to happen regularly because the couple has to constantly reconnect. At the same time, intimacy is only one part of the relationship cycle. The other part is the nida period. Chazal tell us that if it wasn't for this separation, a husband would become accustomed to his wife and loathe her. Temporary separation is an essential part of total togetherness. Just as food never tastes as good as it does right after a fast, Torah commands husband and wife to separate for a time. When they join together, again, she'll be as precious to her husband as when he originally took her under the chuppah. Now, this is not his own wisdom. He's quoting a Gemara, Maseches Nida on Daf Lamed Aleph and B, it's 31b. The Gemara says, Tanya, Hayar Meir Omer, B'nema Amra Torah Nida L'Shippa. Why is a Nida Aser Torah husband for 7 days? Mnei Sharagel Ba B'Katzba. Amra Torah Teitz Mea Shiva Yamim K'dei Shechaviva Al Baila K'shas K'nisas Al L'Chuppah. If he was accustomed to her, she was permitted all the time, right? So then he wouldn't love her anymore. Rashi says, Katzba Mu'usa love. She would be disgusting to him. The Torah wants to make it that the wife is as pleasurable to the husband as the day of the wedding. Now, the husband is as excited for it. The wife is as excited. Now, there's a couple things I want to address here. I hear this argument so many times. A lot of people, when they're explaining, it comes from Chabad a lot on YouTube. They explain the different, laws of Judaism to non-Jews. They talk about family purity. Taras Mishpacha, they talk about this thing, about that under a normal cycle, a woman's menstruating, so she has her period. She's forbidden generally for at least 12 to 14 days, usually half the month, yes, half the month, no. Now, it sounds like a nice thing. They tell them this is the beauty of Torah. This is the beauty of the Torah. Like what he says over here, basically, is that if she was permitted all the time, you wouldn't like it. You wouldn't appreciate your wife. Take 2 weeks off. Build up that desire, and when she goes to the mikvah, you'll enjoy it a lot more. And to keep the spark there, they say. And there is something to this, but I'd like to make for a couple of distinctions. First of all, the Gemara clearly says Nida L'Shiva, 7 days. And Nida really is technically only an Aser until she stops menstruating. Once she does, according to the Torah, that night she can go to the mikvah. She's mutaris. Generally, a woman menstruates for maybe like 5 days, let's say 7 days maximum. She's Asura. Maybe 7 days she has to go to the mikvah. Maybe it's 7 days. I'm not sure what the halacha is, but Torah, basically 7 days is the maximum. Now, because of a chumrah that the Gemara says in many places, that Bnei Yisrael are machmer on themselves to not only assume they're anida, but also to assume they're zava, in which case she has shiva nekiyim. So in addition to the 7 days of nida where she's seeing blood, she has to wait 7 clean days. And there's lots of halachas that go into this. If you're married or you learn Hilchos Nida, there's so many halachas that go into these shiva nekiyim. They have to do checking in the morning and night. There's a lot of chumras upon on something which is a minhag, right? The whole essence is a minhag. She's not a zava according to the Torah. She's not a zava, she's a nida. They're machmir, minhag Yisrael, and there's so many chumras built into this in the halachas, and most rabbanim are machmir. Well, sometimes they'll be makel. She doesn't have to check every single day and night, maybe the first day, the last day, but there's so many chumras over here that, first of all, a lot of times women will spot or something like that. They'll see blood, and then they're gonna have to wait even longer than 14 days, which is another even 14 days. But the problem is even 14 days. As a man who's married, I know 7 days makes sense. 7 days makes sense. That's generally the amount of time that a man can go without being together with his wife. After 7 days, it's painful. to not be together with your wife. The Torah didn't mean this. So this minhag they took upon themselves, and that the Shulchan Aruch and the Poskim are machmir on a minhag, right? Is completely overboard. It's a wrong. We should be involved in this minhag. It's a terrible thing. The Gemara says Shiva. 7 days I agree with, from going through what married men go through. But 14 days is way too much. Wait, it's painful to the man. After a week, it's painful to the man not to be able to touch his wife, and certainly be together. That's a big mistake that's happened. And second of all, if the Torah really wanted, right, believed in this, then there are certain times a woman, right, when she is pregnant, right, she's not seeing a period, she's muterish for 9 months to the husband. Generally, women, when they're pregnant, don't have a period. So, and there's other times when a woman's, she's older, past menopause, she's always mutter to her husband, right? And that's the time when they're not so into being together at that point. So maybe the Torah should introduce that there. Why did the Torah introduce it, unilaterally in all cases? The answer is that it has nothing to do with this. This is Reb Meir's opinion. One of the reasons. So Reb Meir is one of the Tanoim. He's not all the Tanoim. Didn't say Chazal said this. It's one opinion. It's part of the truth, but I don't think it's the whole truth. I think the real reason that she's muterish is because she's emotionally unstable and vulnerable during the time when she's menstruating. You can't connect. It's not pleasurable for her at that time. And it's not going to be what you want the intimacy to accomplish, which is to enjoy it and also to bring you closer as a couple. So that's the main reason why Anida is Asura. Not because to rekindle that spark. Sometimes it does, but sometimes it doesn't. I generally find in marriage, take 3 days off, then you have that same spark. Now you have it after 7 days, but 14 days is way too much. He goes on detailing the beauty of the system. Now he talks about men's desire for intimacy and women's desire for intimacy. They're totally different. He says men's desire for physical intimacy is inborn, instinctive, and self-igniting. If he channels it correctly, it will bring him closer to his wife. Intimacy creates connection. For men, the desire leads to love, right? Men always want to be together with women, maybe with a different woman. For women, the sequence is the opposite. First comes love, then comes desire. Unlike men, woman's desire is not constantly simmering under the surface. A woman's desire is kindled by her love for her husband. When a woman loves her husband, she desires to be with him. When she feels that her husband cherishes her, that arouses her desire for intimacy. Big difference. Men and women. Men just want to have sex. They just want to be intimate with their wives. Women don't want the sex. They want the love. Right? When they have love, then they'll be okay with sex. Now, I'm not an expert. I haven't taken a poll, but I truly believe this is true. Women want it a lot more than men. Tav l'meisav, tav l'meisav arma. The Gemara says all over. Women want to get married more than men. Yes, they also want the children. They want the household, the family. They want the husband, most importantly. They want the love from their husband. But women's physical desire is more. The Gemara says Yitzra b'fnim. Her yeshar, her desire is inside of her. She doesn't tell everybody about her desire. It's not known. Men talk about the desire. It's known to men. Men are very clear they have a desire. Sometimes women don't even know they have a desire, but women want even more than men. If it was up to a woman, they'd be together with their husbands every night, assuming they love them. Now it is important we're saying they love them, but don't say that once you love them, that will create the desire. No, the desire is there innately in a woman. Women want to be together with their husband. There's a condition. They won't do it unless they love their husbands, or they won't do it consistently with their husbands, or they won't be in the mood if they don't love their husbands. If they don't love their husbands, they're going to avoid it because there's no love, right? Just like when you go to Chassan Kala teacher, they teach you about the importance of foreplay. It's very important for the woman to be ready. You can't just go, like a man would just be over within 2 minutes, but a woman needs the foreplay. You need to do it. Eventually, you work out, the man and woman work out a system that works best for the man and woman, because the man, it's not fair to ignore the man's urges to just be over with it in 2-3 minutes. So you have to make some sort of compromise. Sometimes for the woman, give her the foreplay. Sometimes the man, let him do it the way he wants. It has to be fair, all these Chassan Kala teachers, they teach for the woman. It's like they're advocating for women's rights. They're denying, they're ignoring man's needs. That has to be talked about a lot. But for women, love is important. It's a condition that's necessary for her desire. But she has a desire also for the pleasure of it, right? And I think this is oftentimes ignored. It's not talked about enough by Chassan Kala. Some Chassan Kala teachers teach this, some don't. But there's something really important to, the importance of an orgasm for a woman. It's not talked about in Chassan Kala teachers. It's not talked about in Halacha very much. I saw it in one sefer. I was looking it up. It said and this rabbi, an ancient rabbi, I don't know, from many years ago, he said that doing that for the woman is considered to be almost like masturbating for the man. It's an empty desire. It's just a physical desire. You should not do that. It's usher. No one talks about it. Not even talked about so much in Chazal. But if you're common sense, you want to make your wife happy, you better be doing that a lot, not all the time. You don't have to. You have to be fair again, right? It's a lot of work for the man. It's hard. He doesn't want to do it all the time. So you make compromises. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. But that's an essential need for a woman. That's just physical gratification for the woman. That's not the act of being together. That's something else. But a woman needs that. She wants that. She has physical desires more than a man. She's more physical than a man. Men live in their minds. Men are intellectual. Women live in their bodies. They're living in this world. The more you're living in this world, the more you have a physical desire for these things. People, I saw a cute video, some seminary girl posted on TikTok. She said, what happened to the relationship, their boyfriend and girlfriend before they went to seminary. She said, he loves his Gemara more than me. And it's true. People that are Talmidei Chacham, Avreichim, they will never admit this. They'll say they love their wives more than I hope they'll never admit this. But the truth is that they love their learning more than their wife. And some people love their businesses more than their wife, especially after you've been with your wife for a couple of years. You get bored of her. You want a different woman. That's why it's polygamy is allowed in the Torah. But we're not going to talk about that today. But, people, it's very common that, it's not always so smooth like this, and people have to realize that this is a real problem. It's a real problem, and women really want this. Women really want the intimacy just as much as the man, and that's why they're more physical. Men, sometimes they love their Gemara more than the wife. They love their business more than the wife. But women just have a desire for that. A real woman, if she has a good husband, she only wants one husband. She really only wants one husband. It's hard to be a good husband. But if you have that husband, she wants that one husband. That's all she's happy. A husband that loves her, that's what she wants. And that is all she needs. But she needs the physicality. And don't mistake it. Just like it's called making love for the man, it's also called making love for the woman, right? It creates love for both the man and the woman that they act. And they desire the physicality more than the men. It's just, it's a condition of love. Men don't necessarily need to love their wives. It's just a physical, it helps. It makes it, I strongly believe in this concept. It's called demisexual, meaning you enjoy the act more when you have love between you. If you have love between you, enjoy it more. If you're just, dating or something like that, most of the secular world, hooking up with people, hookup society, casual sex, there's no emotional connection. It might be enjoyable, but it's missing, and not just missing in the emotional connection, it's missing the enjoyment, because demisexual basically means that I can only enjoy the sex if I'm connected to that person on an emotional level. I don't believe there's no enjoyment, but there's definitely more enjoyment when you have an emotional connection and when you're married to the person. That's why the Torah doesn't say go have many different girlfriends. Torah says get married, but you can marry other women also. That's why Torah basically answers the question that most men have with society. You get married, you're stuck with one woman. You're not married, you don't have stability, you don't have loyalty, you don't have someone there always for you, for your needs. So the answer is polygamy. But I'm not going to talk about that. We've talked about it many times. Continue in the chapter, and he goes on to something talking about not intimacy, but just touching each other, hugging, kissing, not necessarily being together. He says it's very important to touch, hug, kiss, touch her on the hand, hold hands, put your arm around her. Put your arm around her. Is your buddy? It's true. This is something that he actually brings, which I think is often misunderstood or just not mentioned. Chassid and Kala teachers, they don't mention this. And this is really important. It is true that a really good husband will always, in privacy, he says if you have kids, you go in a private room, touch, the kiss, the hug. And if you're a bold man, you have fun with your wife. They love to be touched in private places. You don't have to take the clothes off, but you know, you have fun with them. Come on, you always got to do that. You have to touch the right places, not just holding hands. Holding hands is nice for walking down the street. You know, obviously it's frowned upon in the frum community. You can't walk down the street with your holding your wife's hand. I don't think there's a problem with it. I think it's a great thing. But when you're in private, you don't touch her on her arm. You touch her in a private part. You know, she touches you in private part. And that makes it fun, and that kindles the attraction. So that's what I have to say about that. It's true what he's saying. It's true. There should be a lot of physical touch. For men, it's harder to remember this because they just want to be together. But for a woman, physical touch is so important because it reminds them of foreplay. That's really what foreplay is. It makes her feel that love, and then you're together after she feels that love. So that's why it's more important. It's easier for the woman to remember than the man, but it has to come from the man. Women are not going to go touch you all the time. It has to come from the man. Just like marriage has to be led by the man. Men have a really hard job in life. It's really hard, and because of modern society, they're really, suffocated because you have to get married. And if you don't get married, you're stuck. If you get married, you're stuck. It's a really untenable position for men. Women have it the best. Some women have it the best. The women that marry a good husband. There's lots of husbands out there who are terrible husbands. They mistreat their wives or forget about their wives. Some wives turn down the men when they want to be together. Some women turn down, some men turn down the woman when they want to be together. Or they instill fear in the house where the woman's afraid of the husband. She doesn't love him. She doesn't show love to the wife. Without showing love. Even if you're together with her, if you don't show love to her, you don't buy flowers, you don't buy chocolates, you don't kiss and hug, and hold hands and do things like that. You don't show love to her. You don't care about her. You don't think about her. You don't remember her birthday. You don't remember your anniversary. So that shows there's no love. She's not going to appreciate the physicality. It's a condition. It's a necessary condition. But it's really desire. Also, that's really what it is. So at the end of the day, men are kind of stuck. Women have it the best, as long as they find, which I'll never know when you date someone. You can date them for a year, 2 years. You can date them for 5 dates. Sometimes you luck out. Sometimes you don't. It's up to God who you end up with. But that's what I have to say about this chapter. I hope you enjoyed. See you next week.